Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome to the Emirates Stadium press box here. It's just finished Arsenal 5, Sheffield United 0. So I'm looking out here, very empty ground now, but I can see the Arsenal substitutes out having their little warm down game that they always have. Aaron Ramsdale just made his way out there. Several players, including two of the goal scorers, Takahiro Tomiyasu and Fabio Vieira, will be heading out there very soon to have their usual warmed out after what has been a very, very comfortable afternoon's work for Arsenal here in North London against the Premier League's bottom side. And on this evidence, Sheffield United are going only one place, and that is the Championship. They were very, very poor, but Arsenal did the job that they needed to do against a very, very poor team. It took a little bit of time to break them down, but once they had broken them down, then it was just a matter of how many goals Arsenal were going to get. And in the end, they got 5, and Eddie Nketiah got 3 of them. A really, really special day for Eddie Nketiah. I'll go through those stats in a minute in terms of the player ratings. But yeah, a really, really special day for Eddie Nketiah. First Premier League hat-trick, second hat-trick for Arsenal, of course, but a first Premier League hat-trick for Eddie Nketiah. And it was an interesting team selection. I thought it might be by Mikel Arteta. He made 5 changes from the team that won in Seville in the Champions League on Tuesday night. Emile Smith-Rowe came in for his first Premier League start for Arsenal since May 2022. Eddie Nketiah, of course, came back in for the injured Gabriel Jesus. Zinchenko came back in. Kivior came into the centre-backs to give Gabriel the afternoon off. Didn't even have to come on, Gabriel, which would be good for him because I'm sure he'll probably start against West Ham in the League Cup. So Mikel Arteta using this game as an opportunity to rotate, which I felt he needed to do. I thought it was an important game to bring a few players in, to give some minutes, to give other players some minutes just to sit on the bench and rest and recuperate, and he did just that. And he got his rewards, I thought, Mikel Arteta. It did take a little bit of time. The first half an hour was not the greatest of football from Arsenal. It was pretty slow, pretty laborious. They were coming up against a Sheffield United team who basically sat with everyone behind the ball, just camped on the edge of their penalty area. There was very, very little space, and it made things very difficult for Arsenal. They did move the ball a little bit slowly, though. You felt like if they could move the ball a bit more quicker, they would break Sheffield United down. And that's ultimately how it happened. And it all came from a really good ball just before the half-hour mark from Declan Rice. Fizzed the ball in for Eddie Nketiah. Nketiah took it down. Really good turn to sort of beat the defender. I think it was Austin Trusty, actually. And it was a really good finish to make it 1-0. And from that point on, as I said, it really just felt like only a matter of time before Arsenal went on and, won this one fairly comfortably. And, Nketiah got that goal at half-time. Arsenal played the 15 minutes after that goal up to half-time. It's a completely different half, I thought, the first half. They looked a lot more threatening. They had chances. Gabriel Martinelli, who was one of the real bright spots in that first half for Arsenal, him and Declan Rice, he had a shot that was saved. They didn't get that second goal, and you kind of felt when it went in at 1-0, you thought, right, Arsenal need to get a second goal early in the second half, because the longer this goes on at 1-0, the more potentially nervy it might become. And they did get that goal early in the second half, and it was Nketiah who got it from a Saka free kick. Foderingham flapped at the cross a little bit. He complained. There was a bit of a VAR check for a foul, potentially by Ben White, something you always have to check when a goal comes from a corner, if Ben White has fouled the goalkeeper. They said he hadn't, and he hadn't. There was never a foul on there, and it was a really good finish from Eddie, smacking it into the top corner, but then he saved the best till last. His third goal, the hat-trick goal, was an absolute stunner. Smith-Rowe got an assist, laid the ball off to Nketiah. He turned and just thumped an unstoppable finish into the top corner from 25 yards. Has to be the furthest Eddie Nketiah has ever scored a goal again, especially for Arsenal anyway. Really good finish. One of those kind of goals that took the breath away from everyone inside the stadium. You could just hear the atmosphere in here. It was crackling after that. Everyone couldn't believe what they'd seen from Nketiah. Just kind of one of those finishes you weren't really sure he had it in him. He's obviously a predatory finisher, scores goals from in and around the penalty area. You don't often see that type of finish from him, but it was a great, great goal right into the top corner. You could see what it meant to him and to his teammates. And 3-0 at that point. You wondered, what are Arsenal going to do? Are they just going to see this out and cruise this out? But they really went for the kill after that, and they scored some really good goals after that. Fabio Vieira winning the penalty, scoring it himself. It looked like Eddie was going to take that himself and try and score the fourth goal. He was one holding the ball while the VAR checked for the penalty decision. It was a definite penalty. I don't know why it took so long. There was a clear foul by Ollie Norwood on Eddie Nketiah. But then he did give the ball over to Fabio Vieira, who scored the penalty, and he ran off celebrating. He stuffed the ball up his jersey. So it looks like him and his wife are obviously found out they're expecting a baby. It was one of those kind of celebrations, which was possibly why Nketiah gave the ball to him to take the penalty. And then probably the best moment of the game at the end was when Takahiro Tomiyasu scored in injury time, his first Arsenal goal. And the celebration, it was just a lovely moment. Obviously, his first Arsenal goal. He's such a popular player with the fans, with his teammates, and you could see what it meant to him. You could see what it meant to the teammates, and you could hear what it meant to the fans. It was just really great atmosphere celebrating that goal, and he was really, really made up for it. And it was 5-0. Kai Havertz could have got a sixth right at the end, had a shot that went into the side netted, maybe should have done better with. But 5 goals for Arsenal. They've moved to within 2 points of Tottenham at the top of the table. They've continued this unbeaten start to the Premier League season, and I don't think Mikel Arteta would have asked for any more than that. Right, let's go through the player ratings then now, shall we? It's not going to be a surprise, is it, who I'm going to name man of the match in this one, but there were some other good performances as well, so we'll go through them. We'll start with David Raya. I thought had a very good game. David Raya, it was, I think they had 2 shots. Brentford, I don't think Raya had to make a save, but when he did have to come and claim crosses, he did it very, very well. He was very alert as well. We started a couple of really good counter-attacks in the first half that with passes out to Martinelli. His distribution was really good. It was just an assured performance from David Raya, so I gave him a 7. Ben White, he just cruised through the game. Didn't get forward on the overlap perhaps as much. He had one brilliant shot. The technique from it in the second half that drew a really good save. It would have been a fabulous goal had he scored. So I gave him a 7. William Saliba, I mean, he honestly looks like he's toying with attackers now, William Saliba. It's like he almost gives them a chance to think they're going to get the ball, and then he just turns away from them. He's that good, and he just gets better by the game. A really, really good performance for Saliba. I gave him an 8. Kivior came in at centre-back, looked assured, as to be fair, he tends to do when he plays these games. Got on the ball a lot, passed it around, never tested, because Sheffield United just offered nothing going forward. But, a comfortable afternoon's work for Kivior. He gets a 7. Zinchenko, I gave a 7 as well. Honestly, at times, he was playing as a number 10, especially in the first half. He was playing so high up the pitch. Didn't have to worry, obviously, about leaving space in behind, because Sheffield United offered no threat. Kivior was filling that space that he vacated, and he just went forward time and time again, got on the ball well, made a couple of really nice passes that caused Sheffield United problems. And, good performance from Zinchenko, so I gave him a 7. In midfield, Declan Rice. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I just repeat myself after every single game when I talk about Declan Rice, about how good he is. But he was just sensational. And his pass to set up the goal for Nketiah that broke the deadlock was fantastic. And you kind of felt like he was the person who was going to drive Arsenal forward in that first half. When he did get on the ball, he was the one player looking to push forward and try and get in behind from midfield. Just a really good performance from Declan Rice as well. And I almost feel like I said, I just repeat myself about how good he is. So I gave him an 8. Emile Smith-Rowe in for his first start, neat and tidy. Maybe didn't threaten enough at times. Got the assist for Eddie's goal, the third goal. And I'm sure he'll be quite happy with his first game back. A little bit rusty, perhaps, but that's to be expected. It is his first Premier League start since May 2022, but he'll be happy with his afternoon's work. Gave him a 7. Gave Havertz a 6. He did nothing wrong again. It was one of those games that you come out of it and you just think, well, he's done nothing wrong, but he didn't do enough maybe in the final third. But I thought he played fine, perfectly fine, but just didn't do anything to warrant more than the 6. He had a good chance right at the end when it was a lovely run. The kind of run you want to see him make more, when he got in behind the defence, and probably should have done better. I haven't seen a replay of it, but he put it shot into the side net and the keeper was diving down. Maybe he needed to dink it over him rather than go try and put it to the side of him. But would have been nice if he got that goal, but he didn't. But, as I said, he did nothing wrong. So I just given him an average 6 out of 10 for me. In terms of the forwards, Bukayo Saka again, like Havertz, 6 for me. It was quiet, I thought, fairly subdued. He got the assist for the second goal from a corner. But other than that, didn't do too much. Saka was annoying because he was my fantasy league captain. So I gave him a 6. Eddie Nketiah, who I left on my bench in my fantasy league team. Brilliant. 10 out of 10. What more can you give him? A hat-trick. First Premier League hat-trick. 3 really good finishes as well. First was brilliant. Lovely turn. Second, really good predatory goal. Third, an absolute stunner from distance. Fabulous performance from Eddie Nketiah. 10 out of 10. Gabriel Martinelli, going to give an 8 out of 10. In that first half, he was a real bright spot. I thought the one attacker who looked like he could get in behind and was showing the pace and the urgency to try and get in behind down that left-hand side. So I gave him an 8 out of 10. Once again, when it comes to Arsenal and the substitutes, you look at the 5 that Mikel brought on here. You see Tomiyasu, Trossard, Vieira, Nelson, Elneny. They made impacts. Tomiyasu came on straight away, just picked up the pace of the game, got him down the right-hand side a couple of times, and then he got himself his goal as well. So I gave Tomiyasu a 7. Trossard just immediately in it. Just such a clever player. Caused Sheffield United all sorts of problems. They couldn't handle him, Trossard, when he came on, with his movement and his clever passing, his technique. I gave him a 7 as well. Fabio Vieira has to get a 7 for me. Came on, won the penalty himself, scored it himself, so fair play. Reece, out of all of them, didn't really see as much of the ball as the rest of them, but still put himself about a bit, so I gave him a 6. And then he literally came on for injury time, so I'm not going to give Mohamed any a mark. But yeah, just a really good afternoon's work this for Arsenal. One they needed. You felt like they needed a comfortable win at home, certainly in the Premier League. They had the 4-0 win away at Bournemouth, but we haven't really seen a comfortable home win yet in the league anyway. They had the one against PSV in the Champions League, and you knew that this Sheffield United team were there for the taking. They're a very poor team. They're a championship side playing in the Premier League, so you thought that Arsenal needed to produce this type of performance, and they did just that. They got the win they needed. They maintained their unbeaten start to the season, and now they're just 2 points off Tottenham, heading into that really tricky looking game away at Newcastle next weekend. So here from the Emirates, it's finished Arsenal 5, Sheffield United 0.